funny meeting you guys here. You've never saw me before, but we have done something new with the podcast, and I'm super excited for you guys to get into this episode. So I'll put my little tea down. I have some popcorn to keep my nerves down, but here we go. So this format's a little different. You only see me and not a guest. And so this time we'll be picking things out of the question jar and I'll be answering them for you guys. All right. Okay, this question was, it's a good one. The question is, are you in love with this version of yourself? And for me, I thought this would be like an easy question when I asked other people it, but I found that the answers really vary. So for me, I am in love with this version of myself, but I think it's because I'm very intentional on like making sure that I love myself no matter where I am in life. That's what Evolve and Still is about, right? And so I think it's super, super important to always like prioritize yourself. And then I was having conversations with people and they're like, well, how do you do that? For me, it's always making sure that I stay true to whatever version of myself that I'm in. So like I have to honor what I like now. Just because it's different than something that I liked previously, it's difficult. Like I have to be true to who I am today and, you know, just shut out all the other opinions. And also just try new things, right? Because I don't necessarily know what I like today versus yesterday, I have to be open to trying new things and kind of just making sure that I'm like experimenting and not closing myself off. But this is such an interesting question because like I said, when I was talking to people, they were saying, you know, they're trying to love this version of themselves, or that they don't love this version of themselves. And my next question to them was like, well, what are you doing about it? Like, for me, the journal, going back to the journal, I know that's like corny, but the journal is all about loving yourself and loving this version of who you are. I think that I created it with the intent of like figuring out who I am at this certain time and what do I want now, right? And so it's a bit different because it changes. I actually do the journal multiple times. I try to do it like once or twice a year because my answers change. What I liked last week is not always what I like this week. And I know that might sound crazy, but it's just, we're humans, we evolve. Yeah, so that's...
What's something you tried or something new that you tried recently? Give us a little story time.
Okay, something I've tried recently. I think really it's foods. Like I'm being more like experimental with foods. I'm a very picky eater. I've always been a picky eater. And I still really only eat a certain limit. You know, I'm still picky. But I will experiment with like new sauces, new things that I'm not normally like adjusted to. And I'm like, oh, like maybe I do like Korean fried chicken. I would never taste that. It's like, why I want the regular fried chicken. Why do I need the... But today, at this big age, I've been experimenting more with food, for sure.
Awesome. How do you think that translates into, like, your journey as far as how you're evolving?
I think it really is helping me just be more open-minded about everything. So being more open-minded about food or trying new things or having new experiences also puts me in the mindset of like every single day I can really try anything. If something doesn't work, just try something else, right? And so sometimes I need a reminder because sometimes I'll be stuck in just kind of a flow and like I need to do A, B, C, like I'm in a routine. And life doesn't always work that way, right? With school, my schedule is very unpredictable. And I can't have a life outside of school, really, right? And so I have to learn how to prioritize it, how to balance it. And sometimes it's like, well, that doesn't mean you just don't try to have another life. Like, you have to be open to, you know, expanding and doing things differently. next question. I'm going to pick pink today. Okay, this question is how to balance where you are and where you want to be in life. So this question is, I feel like, so timely. I feel like it speaks to everyone, no matter where you are in life, because we are human and we have desires, right? So I feel like no matter where I am in life, even if it's like, oh, I achieved my goals, I was working to get here. Once I get there, I'm like, what's next? Like, what else do I want? I want to be richer. I want to be, like, there's always a next level. And so for me, I think being able to balance it is really enjoying where I am right now, right? Like enjoying that space of where I am, what I'm able to accomplish, who this version of myself is. It's a little difficult because sometimes, you don't want to not have goals. That's very scary, to not have any goals. But you also don't want to have so many goals that you're not enjoying where you are now. Like, I think that's one thing that I did really well in life is I enjoyed my life every moment, right? And so I break it up into school. So like middle school, I loved middle school. I had the best friends. I had the best time. I was living my best life. I went to high school and I was like, I don't know, like this is new territory. And that's something that I'm really bad at, is transitioning. And so I was like very nervous. But then I got to high school and I was like, oh, this is it. Like, it doesn't get any better than this, right? And then you have people who like peaked in high school. You don't want to be that person, so then you have to go to the next step. And so I went to college and I was like, no, like this version of myself, this college version, like I thought I was having fun in high school. I thought I was having fun in middle school, but right now I was having a ball. And then once you get out of college, I think happens to so many people, where you get out of college and you kind of feel like, what am I doing? Like, what's next? What am I supposed to be doing? I might have my dream job, but now I hate this job. Like, it's so many things that comes with graduating from college, because it's the natural next step, right? So when you're a kid and you're growing up, after middle school, you have to go to high school. After high school, a lot of people, they have to go to college, or they know that they're going to go get a job. But after that, it's like you are the captain of your ship and you have to make some decisions for yourself. And that's very, very scary. But really just like enjoying those moments is super, super important. Like, I don't have any regrets at any of those time periods. So that's how I balance where I am now versus where I want to go. Like, I'm still working on the goals. I'm still working on getting to my next level, but making sure that I have fun and actually appreciate and enjoy life while I'm here.
What would you say to the people who are still trying to figure out those goals, who maybe don't have like a clear picture?
Yeah, I think life is just, I don't want to say it's easier, but it makes more sense when you have goals, when you have a purpose, when you have something that you're trying to achieve. Whether you're like, boys growing up, they had hoop dreams, or you know what I'm saying? Like, and I say that about my little brother. My little brother is 11 and he's growing up, and I told my dad, like, we got to find what he's interested in. We got to figure that out, because that's going to be his motivation. Like, I know people who never cared about any type of school, nothing. And they were like, but I have to go to school because I got to go to basketball practice. I got to go, whatever. And so that keeps you motivated. Having goals, it's the same thing. Having goals in life gets you up every day. It makes you enjoy your day. Like, okay, I got to get this done. So I can't just sleep in the bed. I can't just be depressed, right? And it's a very difficult thing to have goals if they don't come natural to you. Sometimes it's difficult to like find out, because I have friends who are like, I'm not interested in anything that much where it's like, this is my goal. And that's crazy. Like, that's a crazy conversation for me to have with them because I'm such a goal oriented person. But like, you have to have, I think, like, it's a part of your purpose, right? Finding your purpose in life. When you find your purpose in life, when you're pursuing your purpose, like, that's you pursuing a goal, whether you feel like it's your goal or God's goal for you, whatever you believe, right? And so you have to kind of really be intentional on figuring out what are those things that you want in life and, like, how you're going to get it.
So connecting this to trying new things, how would you speak to goals as like a moving target for people who are still figuring out what they want to do, what is a good match, and like in that experimental phase since we are in our 20s?
Yeah. I think that is so good because, and that's a part of why I tell people to, going back to the journal, right? Like, do it over, right? Like, you are changing, you are a different person. And so you have to stay true to the version of who you are today. And that goes, like, that's even a deeper conversation, right? Because some people, they have to let go of who they were in the past. They got to let go of that trauma. They got to let go of all the things that happened to them in the past so that they can be where they want to be, right? So they can have a happy life today. And it's the same thing with the future, right? You can't get so stuck in the future where you're missing out on today, because then you're going to, like, just miss out. You're just gonna be, you will always feel like, oh, I never actually enjoyed my life. And so you have to be willing to pivot. Like, that was probably the best piece of advice I've ever gotten, was having the willingness and the ability. Learn, it's a craft. It really is a talent. It's not easy, but sometimes we'll be so focused on a goal and we're like, okay, now I have to shift things, I have to change things. And going back to the ball player, right? Like with the hoop dreams, when that doesn't work out, right? Now you got to find something different that's going to motivate you, because you still got to get up. You still got to go, right? And so it's very, very difficult. I would never minimize it and say it's easy. But the whole thing is that you have to be open and willing to try different things and honor who you are today, because some stuff that you liked in the past, you don't like anymore. It's a part of growing and evolving.
So give us another story time about a time where you had to pivot and it was a little bit difficult for you.
Oh, yeah. Pivoting, I have to pivot all the time, right? Like, I have to pivot with this business. I have to pivot with school. I think school is probably the better example, because a lot of it, I don't have a lot of control over school. When you get to the professional level of college, right, it's very different. You have very little control over what happens and when it happens. So you will have these plans all out, and I can't plan anything in my life. It's something I was so frustrated about. Like, I can't tell you if I can come to your wedding next year, because who knows what I'm going to be doing. Like, I might not be able to go, right? And school controlled my life. But I had to get to a point where I'm able to pivot. I'm able to make those, like, weekend trips, right? Like, okay, I can't go the whole week, but I can come Friday through Sunday and be back and ready. You know, keep those goals in mind. Don't just throw away your goals, but having to change and make adjustments, it's a part of life. It's a part of, like, we change, life changes, plans change. And I'm not good at that at all. It's something that I have to be intentional on. I have to practice, because I hate change. Hence why I was so bad at transitioning from all these different schools. But after a while, you're just like, okay, I got this. And once you do it so many times, you're able to believe in yourself and be like, actually, no matter what comes my way, like, that's such a cheat code to life. No matter what comes my way, I can pivot. I can change the narrative. I can make, change the story. And so even for friends and people who like, oh, I wanted to be a doctor or whatever, and they change their mind. They're like, now I'm going into, PA school, whatever. You can pivot. You're never stuck in one box. And don't even allow other people to do that, but more importantly, don't do it to yourself. I love the questions. I feel like they are very thought-provoking, and I think they'll generate a lot of conversation. I feel like I always love to hear back from people who listen to the podcast. That's like one of my favorite things ever. I always feel like, being able to see the comments and see the people reaching out, doing reviews. Like, I love this. It's really fulfilling to me because I just, sit here with the mic and talk to you guys. And before, I was just having real conversations with real people, and being able to really get the feedback from the community is always great.
But what does learning yourself look like to you?
Learning yourself. That's a hard one. Learning yourself looks like spending time with yourself, right? We are very busy people. And a lot of people don't like being alone. A lot of people don't like spending because they don't like who they are. Like, that's what I noticed. When you don't like who you are, or you don't necessarily know who you are, you get uncomfortable by like being in a room by yourself. I've never been that child. Unfortunately, I seen a post and I had reposted something literally this week that said, ever since I was a child, I knew I wanted people to leave me alone. And like, that's so but that is me. Like, I can be alone for weeks. COVID, easy peasy. Let's lock it down. Like, that was me. But yeah, getting uncomfortable with spending time with yourself and like letting some of those intrusive thoughts actually come to the front of your mind. Be like, why did I think about that? And like really unpacking why you're thinking of these things or why you're doing certain things. Why do you like certain things? Like, I love feel-good TV. That's such a random thing. But like, I will watch the same thing over and over and over again. Okay, I watch Parent Trap every night. I know that's crazy. I know. But I do. And it's just because it brings me comfort. It's like, I know what's gonna happen. I love the story. Let's just turn it on. Like, I don't need surprises. I already deal with life. Life is unpredictable. Let's get some schedules, some organization into my day, right? And what does that look like? That's me paying attention to who I am and what I'm doing. Because somebody would say, oh, you're just watching the same thing every day. But if you don't until somebody asks you, like, why do you watch the same thing every day? You don't know the reason why, right? But now I can tell you the actual like psychology behind why I do that, versus being like, just trying to, make it seem like, oh, I just watch the same thing every day. It's like, no, I watch the same thing every day because I have anxiety and I don't like dealing with every day. It's a challenge for me to go out in the world and not know what's going to happen next. So yes, I watch TV where I know what is going to happen next. If you like the prompt or the question about relearning who you are, then check out this journal, because this is my bread and butter. I swear by this thing. Like, I hand wrote the questions, but I actually use the journal. And like I said, I redo it every year because my answer changes. But it's a product that I really do believe in. And I think you will enjoy it.
Another question?
Okay. Also, I realize that I keep putting it back in, and I probably shouldn't do that. How would you define success? Okay, I would define success by, and it sounds really, really cheesy, but I define success by how I feel about life and where I am and my friends and my family, and like, that is success to me, right? Because things can be taken away. Even relationships can be broken. Relationships can, go on, and there's situations where you've had a great relationship and now we're past that, but does that mean that the relationship wasn't a success? No, because you were able to actually enjoy it. You got actual good things from it, right? You were able to benefit in some way. So I really do define success as like being happy, and that's all you can really ask for, right? Everything is changing, and again, what made you happy at 20 might not make you happy at 25, but that is success for that time, right? And even when I think over my life and I say, oh, I would never do that again, couldn't pay me, right? I still enjoy life. I still was in a good place. I still was, making the most out of what I had at the time. And so far, I think that I'm having a pretty successful life. Of course, there's things that I want to achieve. But it's like, even if I don't achieve those things, even if I pivot or I change my mind and I want new goals, right? As long as I'm enjoying the time that I have here on this earth, because it's not promised, I think I'm pretty successful.
Do you think that there's success in failures?
I do. I think that there's so much success in failure because it's an opportunity to get to know who you are. It's an opportunity to get to know what you want, right? Like, it's a perspective shift. I think perspective is a superpower. When you have perspective over certain things, you're just on a different level, right? Like, no matter what, we all can be sitting here in the same situation. But if I have a different perspective over the situation, and my perspective puts me in a happier state, in a more emotionally well state, then I'm winning, right? And we are both in the same situation. I think that when you take failure and you actually look for the lesson inside of it, you really have done what the definition of success is, which is like prioritizing what you can learn. And really, like, I'm a world learner. I love learning. I probably will be a learner for the rest of my life. And to be able to learn from experiences that I went through, that's like the ultimate goal, right? So that next time I can just do better.
So how do you think that ties into the way that you love the current version of yourself?
I think it ties in because I extend myself grace. I think extending yourself grace is so important. And no matter what version of me I'm in, right, or even thinking about past versions of myself, I always give that person grace because they did the best they could with what they have. We have that, especially in the Black community, like family, right? Your parents raising you. Your parents did the best they could with what they had. And that doesn't mean that we don't have complaints. I'm a complainer. That doesn't mean that everything went well, right? Like, sometimes we get disappointed. Sometimes we disappoint ourselves, right? But at the end of the day, extending yourself grace and loving on yourself and loving where you are is so important. I have friends who, like, I think I'm very self-aware. So, like, my friends are always kind of surprised by me in how I explain situations. I could be in a situation that I have no business being in. Like, I know that, like, be for real. And I'll be like, yeah, I actually know, but like right now in this moment, I still want to do whatever it is that I want to do. And and being able to acknowledge that, like, I know Delulu is in, but be Delulu with other people, not with yourself, okay? When you are self-aware and you're able to be like, actually, like, you know better, you didn't do better. Okay, and next time I'm going to do better. And sometimes it's crazy, but I actively choose not to do better because I don't want to at that moment in that day and time. And I'm going to extend grace, and I'm going to say, you know what? Tomorrow. It's literally like a cheat day when you're on a diet. Some days you know this ice cream is going to set you back. You know. And you still get it. Because at the end of the day, life is not about living perfectly. And like going back to the success question, right? Like life is not about hitting check marks or checking off little boxes. That's not, if you do that at the end of your life, you'll still probably be miserable. And so for me, it's like sometimes I don't want to be perfect. Sometimes I do things for the plot. In the plot, it's fun. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And like now I'm going, yeah, I just worked out every day this week and I did have that ice cream.
So how does the plot affect you balancing where you are and where you want to be?
Okay, the plot, this is balance. Balance is important, right? Because you don't want to extend yourself too much grace that we're getting off the goals, right? It's a difference between changing your goals and changing the things you want in life and just giving up. That's tea. Like, I know people who I feel like, this is just my opinion on their life, so it doesn't matter, right? But like, I know people who I'm like, you didn't change your mind, you just gave up. Like, come on, you're talking to me, I know. But there's some times where people are like, no, I actually don't want that no more. Like, I started school with everybody I started at school with. Well, not everybody, but I had like a group of people. It was like literally a solid group. Pre-med, we in there. We about to do it. Black doctors. Power to the people. Along the journey, we had some changes. Now, did everybody change because they just had a change of heart? No. Some people changed because it was too hard. And that's okay. I'm not judging you. But you have to be real with yourself, right? And so, going back to the question, like, you have to know, and don't be Delulu with yourself. Sometimes you need to pivot. Sometimes you're just giving yourself too much grace. You're just doing anything and you're not really tapped into your goals, right? And so I don't do things that's going to negatively affect where I want to go in life. Like, doing things for the plot is like, again, eating ice cream. Like, okay, I can go work out tomorrow, it'll be fine. But like, not like, okay, I'm about to just give up completely and like, I'm just gonna eat McDonald's every day for a week. That's not the plot. The plot, we have lost it. We're straying. We are, you know, you made a left, we were going right. But yeah, you have to give yourself grace, not too much. And that's a part of you, self-awareness, having that reflect. And sometimes you can't reflect. So sometimes when I feel like, am I being lazy, right? I have to call a friend, phone a friend. Phone me, I'll tell you. So we're wrapping up. I totally enjoyed yapping by myself. I didn't think I would. I thought I would be like, hate it. But we loved it. If you enjoyed this kind of episode, right, we're doing different things here. We would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your questions. Comment them, DM us, leave reviews, all the things. And we will catch you in the next episode with our jar.